Welcome to the I Love Buffalo podcast. Part of the I Love Buffalo network with your host, Josh Catry.
First on the podcast, I would like to apologize for my voice. This is my own fault. I actually almost never get sick. I will go a year or longer sometimes without getting sick, especially more than one day in a row. But this last week, I strayed from my strict diet. I do strict diet for autoimmune diseases, and I decided to stray from it a little bit and enjoy the weekend festivities. I even drank alcohol for the first time in like 6 months. I ate food that actually had food dyes in it, seed oils, and some other things that I know that I shouldn't eat because it causes a reaction, weakens my immune system. And sure enough, I've been sick for a few days now, and my voice is on the way back, but it was pretty far gone and scratchy. So I apologize. I will make this a brief episode, but there's just some good stuff that we don't want to skip over. Welcome, good neighbors, to the I Love Buffalo podcast. I'm your host, Josh Catry. If you're new, a little bit about the podcast. We'll cover everything from Buffalo's news, business, ideas, history, sports, jiu-jitsu, nature and the outdoors, entrepreneurship, politics, technology, art, music, ideas, movements, and all things that champion the underdog city that we love and the good people in it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today in the podcast, thousands of dead fish along Lake Erie. Don't worry, it's not the apocalypse. A man survives a plunge into the Niagara Gorge. Lindy Ruff gets his 900th career win. Anchelle wins the ADCC. And the Underground Railroad's final stop was Buffalo, New York. All this and more on this episode of the I Love Buffalo podcast. So good, right? Really good. That right there was Babique. They were a progressive gypsy jazz band based in Buffalo, New York. They're no longer active. They were active from 2004 to 2012. Just got that unique sound. And they were named in homage to Babique Reinhardt, the son of legendary guitarist Django Reinhardt. They specialize in this gypsy swing kind of music. It's just such a cool mix of guitar and violin or whatever they got going on there. Check them out, Babique, B-A-B-I-K. We will be playing them periodically between clips throughout this whole episode as well, which was a great suggestion by one of our listeners. Why not keep the music going in between clips and give everyone a moment to digest each clip? So we're going to do that. Great suggestion. Thanks. Keep them coming. In our first segment, the question everyone wants to know is, the apocalypse here? Maybe if you live along Lake Erie or you go to any of the beaches along the lake, you have noticed that there's thousands of dead fish everywhere. And these fish are pretty small. They're like the size of the palm of your hand, maybe a little smaller. And they seem to be all over the place. These are called alewives, A-L-W-I-V-E-S. And they are an invasive species that were introduced to the Great Lakes. And usually they live kind of out deep. And in the winter, they don't do very well with the long ice periods. And if there's a long ice period and a dramatic change in the ice temperature in the spring from ice to warm, there can often be huge die-offs. And so some people notice this and they're trying to blame like pollution or climate change. It's not the case. Actually, this is caused by a cold winter, not a warm winter. These tens of thousands of dead fish have provided a lot of food for the birds especially and fish. And if you go along the southern shore of Lake Erie right now, it is full of thousands and thousands of gulls. They're not seagulls, they're gulls. That's a little bit of a pretentious way that birders will talk to you, including myself. So just so you know, they're called gulls, Gulls. But you'll see thousands and thousands of gulls, cormorants, ducks, mergansers. Everything is just hammering on these dead fish or dying fish. It keeps the ecosystem alive, and they'll rebound. Every year they rebound. So they have a huge die-off, and then usually a good year class will come up, and they'll replenish their numbers. These alewives died from cold stress due to like extra substantial ice coverage during the winter. And they're particularly sensitive to this kind of sudden temperature change. So they transition from icy conditions to warmer spring often is fatal to them. So don't worry, the world's not coming to an end. We just have a normal die-off because we had a normal large ice shield, including the fact that there's still some ice on the lake. So if you're looking to get out there and fish, Buffalo Harbor this morning was still full of ice chunks. So you can fish the southern end of the lake pretty open right now. But if you're trying to come out of Buffalo, there was still quite a bit of ice right near Buffalo. So be careful. Don't hit any icebergs. And if you're going to fish from shore, maybe take a ride down the lake to one of the creek mouths, 18 Mile Creek, or any of the myriad of creek mouths or shorelines where there is no more ice. In our next segment here, in April, a 42-year-old man from Niagara Falls, New York, survived a dramatic plunge into the Niagara Gorge. He drove his 2008 Toyota Tundra through a fence near Depot Avenue, close to the Whirlpool Bridge, descended the gorge, and remarkably, he managed to get out of the vehicle on his own and climb out of the gorge. Emergency responders found him near the aquarium, like up in Niagara Falls there, and he was transported to ECMC with no life-threatening injuries, and nobody else was involved in the accident. Well, be careful out there, guys. There's no reason to be driving through fences over the gorge unless you're being reckless or some other thing. So please be safe out there. Next up, we have Buffalo sports. First, the Sabres season is over. They concluded their 2024-2025 NHL season, and they at least won with a victory. They won 5-4 over the Philadelphia Flyers, and that was Coach Lindy Ruff's 900th career win in the NHL. That's amazing. That makes him only the fifth coach in NHL history to reach this milestone. I was a big fan of them bringing Lindy back. I have my questions, of course, about the GM, but I do think that this last trade deadline, he had a philosophy change that made the team better, and I would like to see it play out for at least another half year before he loses his job. I mean, he's close to losing his job. He's going on several seasons here right now. It's just way too long for that many seasons to be losing. I think it's season 6, and that can't just go on forever. But with Lindy Ruff, this was only his first attempt at a season, and it had ups and downs, really highlighted by a small window in the beginning, middle of the season where they lost a whole bunch of games in a row. They ended the season with a 36-39-7 record, totaling 79 points, and failed to secure a playoff spot for the 14th consecutive year, extending the longest active postseason drought in the NHL. This is very disappointing. As a Sabres fan, also as someone who works in a business that's near where the Sabres play, the Pearl Street Grill and Brewery, when they are doing well, people are coming to Buffalo in droves to see them. And it boosts the economy for everyone around you, including all the employees and all of the restaurants and businesses around the arena. And when they're playing poorly, the opposite effect happens. it seemed that a bunch of players took steps forward, especially at the second half of the season. Alex Tuck, he seemed to take a step forward. Ryan McLeod was excellent for us. We re-signed, after we traded Dylan Cousins to the Ottawa Senators for Josh Norris, who is an interesting player. We also re-signed veteran forward Jason Zucker to a 2-year contract. So a lot of this team is coming back next year. And as we look ahead, we face some critical decisions. Should we break up their, the general manager combo yet? I think I would wait another half year just to see. And if it's not turned around by Christmas, I think it's a done deal next year. However, I'm kind of optimistic. In the past, I have not been that happy with the trades that we made, but this year I feel like they traded for not just skill, but skill plus culture. And I think that changed something that really clicked with Lindy's coaching style. And the guys were playing as a good team towards the end of the season. They fought hard. They got that win for Lindy. They didn't need to win that last game. They did it for Lindy. And I think they're to come back and play for each other. And if you got a team that's playing for each other, I think you should keep it together for a little while just to make sure that can't go somewhere, because you can often build a lot on top of that kind of culture and mindset and mentality. Looking forward to seeing what they do this summer, any moves they make. And they need probably another goalie. I don't think that UPL is probably the answer. And we have to see how all that plays out. But they've been sitting on this for too long, and it's just not working out. Offensively, they're excellent. They have Tage Thompson, who's the #1 goal scorer in 5-on-5 hockey in the NHL. They also put up a lot of goals. They just let a lot of goals in. And they have to figure that out, and that's goalie and defense. Over to the Buffalo Bills. Tre White is officially back with the Buffalo Bills. Last week, the team signed the 2-time Pro Bowl cornerback to a 1-year contract worth up to $6.8 million. His career has been derailed by some major injuries, including a torn ACL in 2021 when he was on the Bills, and then a torn Achilles in 2023. Those are tough. Those are tough to come back from. It usually takes some time. There's usually like a whole year gap where you play poorly, and then you regain your skill set and your confidence in your injured leg or injured body. When you get injured, it's not just about fixing the injury. It's also about fixing your confidence in your body that it won't break. And so if Tre White can bounce back, this would be the year that I would expect him to bounce back. And I just love the guy's attitude. I think he's such a good locker room guy. He was with us and did so much for this team. I really hope he has a bounce back year. I mean, he probably won't start, but as a depth corner, he could be a very excellent corner and contribute. And he's a big play guy. There's many times in our history where he's made big plays in big moments. And if he can dig deep and give the Buffalo Bills 2 more good seasons, these could be the seasons that really count. So look forward to seeing what he can do. Now he's back on the Buffalo Bills in the 2025-2026 season. In our next segment here, we're going to give you a local jiu-jitsu update. Anchelle Barrios wins the ADCC Montreal with 5 wins, all by submissions. So she is a local grappler from Team Sub-Zero, and she does mostly no-gi tournaments, which means like shorts and a t-shirt, not wearing the uniform. Although she does compete in the uniform sometimes, most of her recent tournaments and a lot of her competitions have been in no-gi, which is just basically shorts and a t-shirt, or shorts and a rash guard kind of thing. And she won with 5 matches, all submissions. She got 3 leg locks, 3 heel hooks, which is a vicious submission. She did also a rear naked choke in one of her other matches. So that's a rear naked choke is like when you get behind the person and just choke them. And she also did a arm bar from her close guard and in the advanced 70 kilogram and absolute division. So she wins all these matches, or 4 out of the 5 matches anyways, in under 2 minutes with no points scored against her. So that's pretty remarkable. Congratulations to you, Anchelle. Keep making Buffalo proud, going out there, winning at the high levels. And we keep looking forward to seeing you win. So just so you guys know, ADCC is the circuit basically for the no-gi Olympics of jiu-jitsu. In our next segment, and in honor of 420, I guess, there was a Buffalo public school teacher from School 79. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to disgrace him because it was obviously an accident. He owned up to it. But he accidentally gave some of the kids THC-infused gummies during a swim class. So I can only imagine if I was in high school and my teacher accidentally gave us some gummies during a swim class that were infused with THC. The teacher reportedly mistook the edibles for regular Sour Patch Kids, and the students later reported feeling pretty ill. I wonder how many they ate, because I think that could be very, very bad if you ate too many of those. It says here that the gummies contained 500 milligrams of THC, and both students that ate it had to be taken to the hospital for evaluation. So don't worry, kids. You might feel like you're going to die, but you won't die. And their parents, of course, were upset, and the Buffalo police were notified, and they confronted the teacher. He admitted it immediately, realizing his mistake and apologizing, of course, unaware that that happened. I guess it could be an honest mistake. So innocent until proven guilty, but it's still one of those stories that will go down as at least pretty funny in Buffalo lore. In our last segment here, we're going to go back and do some history of Buffalo and talk about Buffalo as a place for the Underground Railroad. And Buffalo was the final stop often on the Underground Railroad because of the strategic location being near Canada, that slaves that were trying to run away from slavery in the early 1800s would come up to Buffalo, hide out in secret houses, and then cross the Niagara River and find freedom in Canada. And this is a cool story, and there's a lot of rich history here in Buffalo for this. The main crossing point for people trying to escape into Canada was Broderick Park. They call it the Gateway to Freedom. It's basically near the base of the Peace Bridge there. If you see that walkway that goes out along the canal under the Peace Bridge that you can walk for miles along the Niagara River, that area right there, which is a pretty dangerous area, actually. That's fast water, and there has people that have drowned there quite a few times. Fishermen have fallen in. A scuba diver from the Buffalo scuba team passed away there a few years ago. Sadly, there's a lot of current there. It's a very strong current. So I'm curious to know how the slaves and people got across there, if it was they swam across or used boats or whatever they used to get across, because that in itself seems pretty dangerous spot to pick. It's a skinny spot, so the Niagara River is not very wide there in terms of comparing it to the rest of the river. But if I had to swim across that, I do not think that it would be a very easy swim. My friend told me this story once of a deer trying to cross right there, and he had to go save it with a net, and it was crazy. He said the deer was kicking and going wild. It's like one of those crazy stories that actually we might have to have him on the podcast to tell sometime. But I can't imagine trying to swim across that as a person, because it is fast water. Most of the stories that I could find, they rowed people across in rowboats at night in that area. But you must end up far downstream because you're not going to row against that current. So again, this was like the 1830s, 1834, 1835, that time of period of history. And we had one of the strongest networks of abolitionists in the whole Northeast right here, including both black and white activists. Some key figures include William Wells Brown. He was formerly an enslaved man and became a renowned speaker and author while living in Buffalo. Samuel H. Davis. He was a black Baptist minister who hosted abolitionist meetings and helped coordinate Underground Railroad routes. And then you had Reverend J. Edward Nash, and his church became a hub for civil rights advocacy. And it's still, his house still stands as the museum in Buffalo's Michigan Street corridor for this. The Michigan Street Baptist Church is one of the oldest African-American churches in Buffalo, built in 1845, and it was a documented stop along the Underground Railroad as well. The basement of this church was used to hide fugitives from the slave catchers. It was also a center for abolitionist organizing, meetings, and education. There was all kinds of secret networks and signals. People used coded language. They'd hang quilt patterns, certain patterns of quilts outside their doors. And they'd have hidden compartments in their homes and in the churches to hide people in case people came looking for them. Many of the houses still stand, especially on Buffalo's east side in the Fruit Belt area, where there were hidden compartments and hidden places to hide people. The legacy today, it still lives on. Broderick Park is officially designated a network to freedom by the National Park Service. The Underground Railroad Heritage Center is just across the river in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and they share many intertwined stories from the region. And Buffalo still commemorates this history with walking tours, museums, and preservation efforts. So again, the underdog city does something awesome, stands up for injustice in the biggest way possible, and helps people find freedom. And that makes me proud even more to be a Buffalonian. That is our final segment this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to do a few shout outs. The first shout out we're going to do is to another local podcaster. And her podcast is called Best D Life with Daniela. Her name is Daniela Wolf, and people call her D. She's a full-time working mom with 2 kids, and she's been doing this podcast for quite some time. She has lots and lots of episodes. I didn't get a chance to check them all out. I did listen to a few, and they were right up my alley. One of them was about authenticity and being authentic. And another one that she had on there was about networking and collaboration. And I dove into both these, and they were fascinating, really good interviews. She does a great job. She actually invited me to be a guest on her podcast, or maybe I kind of invited myself, actually. But I'm going to be on a podcast with her as soon as my voice clears up here really soon. She says the purpose of the podcast is to help empower women to find and develop skills to help them find peace, balance, and bliss in their lives, especially balance. So her and I talked a little bit about how she'll say throughout your day, it might be chaotic, but you can find 10 minutes or 20 minutes for yourself to find a little bliss in your day and make it better. And if you can do that every day, it adds up. And at the end of the week, you have more bliss in your week. And it was really insightful. And I listened to her say that. I listened to some of her guests talk about this, and I thought it was excellent. Her views strongly align with mine, especially when it comes to empowering women. You know, I teach jujitsu. I think all women should empower themselves. So check out her podcast. Again, it's Best D, like the letter of her name, D, Daniela. Life, Best D Life with Daniela. All right, up next, we have all the awesome events happening around town this week, with the week ending 4/27. First up, Friday, April 25th, Quality Contacts Membership Meet and Greet. This is awesome. This is like a business alliance. It's a group of people that from all different kinds of businesses meet together and form alliances. I am a part of this Quality Contacts, and it's been great, honestly. This is an open house. You can just come check it out. There will be 100, 125 business owners or decision makers from different businesses, and you just meet each other and try to get each other business. And so far, it's worked out really great for some of my businesses where I've met people and we've done iterations together and now have good relationships that we can build upon, high trust relationships moving forward. I've even met some people that I consider friends now from this group. So come down and check it out. That's at Riverworks, 8:30 a.m. on Friday, the 25th. It's the Quality Contacts Membership Meet and Greet from 8:30 to 10:30. And it's just open to anybody. There's no fee or anything. Just come and listen to hear what it's all about. And if you think it's good for your business, you can check that out and meet with Mike Neal. He's a great dude. He runs the whole thing. He's like the organizer. On April 25th and 26th, the Buffalo Comedy Collective has their real grand opening date. They had an opening date a couple weeks ago, and the government stepped in and they needed a permit for something, and it delayed them a lot. So my friends Cindy and Scott will be very happy to get their show off the ground. And it's called Buffalo Comedy Collective and Comedy Sports. And sports is spelled with a Z. And their opening weekend is April 25th and April 26th. They're at 155 Chandler Street. And they do kind of improv comedy. So it's like that hilarious kind of whose line is it anyway type of comedy. where I think they're given topics and they have to improv off the top of their head. So it's almost like how there's rappers and then there's rappers that do the battle raps where they just think of stuff on the fly. It's kind of that, but it's that for comedy. And it's supposed to be really funny. I hope to check that out pretty soon. Again, that's April 25th and 26th, Buffalo Comedy Collective and the Buffalo Comedy Sports. April 22nd is Earth Day. You can celebrate Earth Day at Rhinestein Woods. There's a little registration required, but you can do a guided evening stroll. On 4/23 at the Kaz, at 7 o'clock is Dr. Lonnie Smith Jazz Festival. And 4/24 at 7:30 is the Ramblin' Lou Family Band. At Riverworks on the 23rd, at 6:30 is Asking Alexandria and From Ashes to New. And on the 26th at 5 o'clock is Classic Rock by the River 3.0. This is Scott Solani's event that he does every year, a couple times a year, actually. It's really awesome. It's kind of like the high-end tribute bands. He gets them all together for like a classic rock concert feel. And if you like classic rock at all, it's a great time. Really good bands. They crush it. Highly recommend that. Shays, you have Brit Floyd Wish You Were Here from the 50th Anniversary World Tour, and that is the 23rd at 7:30. Also at Shays on the 25th, you have Comedy with Jim Jeffries. He's hilarious. That's at 7 o'clock. At Electric City on the 24th at 7 o'clock, you have Nightly. And then on the 27th, also at Electric City, you have Neon Trees at 7 o'clock. At Santora's Pizza on the 25th at 8:30, you got Flipside. Flipside is one of my favorite beer tent bands. You hear them all summer long playing at the fair and, different carnivals and stuff. They have not been super active because it's wintertime, so it's exciting to see the beer tent bands come out. Go support them at Santora's. The Buffalo Museum of Science on the 25th at 6 o'clock has a science after hours. It's to infinity and beer on. I don't know how to say that. The Buffalo Museum of Science is teaming up with the Western New York Brewers Association. And this is an adult-only event featuring beers from local craft breweries and the opportunity to explore the interactive astronomy stations. That's kind of cool. The Riviera Theater on the 26th at 7 o'clock is the Sugar Hill Gang. At the Hamburg Fairgrounds over the weekend on the 26th and 27th is the Hamburg Gun Show. And so go check that out. My friends, the Armstrong Armory, usually are there. I'm not sure if they're there this year, but they're usually there. They do like custom everything. The Buffalo History Museum is also on the 26th and 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're having their 12th annual Buffalo Cherry Blossom Festival. That's a favorite springtime tradition at the History Museum around the lake there. All right, that about does it. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. This is a reminder, a rising tide raises all ships. Get your kids into jiu-jitsu. And the Buffalo Open Coffee Club is 7:30 a.m. in the Seneca One Tower. Every Tuesday, it's free. Bunch of people just meet. You can be anything from a student to a founder to a business person, and you just want to make connections and meet people in real life that are looking to help better themselves. I highly recommend coming to the Buffalo Coffee Club. That is 7:30 a.m. every Tuesday morning, and it goes till 9. And you'll have the opportunity to talk to the crowd if you want to, tell them a little bit about yourself, but also just meet people one-on-one and make new connections, including me. So come and say hello if you're in the area. Lastly, here's a clip that illustrates how fast our world can change when we create new knowledge and discover together. This is a clip from a comedy show called Silicon Valley, and they are basically a tech group of people that were making a new software, a new decentralized internet that could change the world, and they're being interviewed on TV to talk about that. And it sounds like they are kind of backtracking in the beginning, and then you see what they mean when they talk about revolutionizing the world. All right. Love you all. Good neighbors. Hope you have the best week you ever had in your whole lives. Here's Jared.
Oh, the Bloomberg piece is up.
Oh, great.
Hey, Danny, can we put the Bloomberg thing on the big screen?
Hey, Jared. First time with Emily Chang, huh?
That is my cue.
Wait, what? You don't want to watch?
Oh, God, no. No, I don't need to relive that. And besides, I have a lifelong aversion to my own image. Yeah, it's like my foster mother used to say, Donald, you have a face for the closet.
All right. Can everyone see?
I'm here with Pied Piper CEO Richard Hendricks and newly minted COO Jared Dunn. Today's a big day for you. Tell me what your new internet is and why Gavin Belson should be afraid of it.
Manure?
Pardon?
Weird. Okay, they
Well,
went straight to Jared.
I'm sure you're aware of the Great London Horse Manure Crisis of 1894.
I'm afraid I'm not.
In the 1890s, the Industrial Revolution had people flocking to the city. And more people equals more horses, and more horses equals more manure. And it was predicted that by the middle of the next century, there would be 9 feet of manure covering the streets. But what no one saw coming was a new technology that would completely obliterate those concerns. The car. Overnight, the manure problem vanished, and the internet, as we currently know it, is rife with identity theft and spam and hacking. So it's manure. And we believe that in success, our new, entirely decentralized internet will be just as significant as the car.
Now back to me for my theme park analogy.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Up next.
What?
Wow. Jared landed it. That was great. Jared was so good.
I guess they must have gotten rid of my stuff for time.
Yeah, they try and keep it just to the interesting stuff. Yeah, I guess so.